What's up, everybody? It's your boy Jerome, and I'm coming to you today with the review for Love and Hip Hop Hollywood Season 5, Episode 3, and this episode is titled The D Word. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, so this episode started out with Teairra Mari. She is filming her music video for a new song that she worked on, which I never heard it. If anybody out there has heard that song, please let me know. The only song that I last heard from Teairra Mari was that song that she made last year after, her and Cisco broke up and all that kind of stuff. That was the last song I heard from Teairra. And she's always on the same shit, She's working on her music, which we ain't never heard her music, but whatever. And, she's talking about how her new dude, Akbar, has a studio and all this kind of, she's running off what he has in his house and all that kind of stuff. And, she's talking about, like I said again, she's talking about how she's working on her music. She's been out of rehab, and again, I still haven't heard any of this music that she's talking about. But it's not even on iTunes or anything like that. So okay, Teairra, if you're working on your music, you say you're working on your music, do whatever. And she's talking about Akbar, that they've known each other for about 2 years now, but they fell off. And she reconnected with him after she got out of rehab and all that kind of stuff. And, he stops the video shoot. He's also producing her music video. I'm like, oh, okay, I see. And, he stops the video to talk with her about a party that she went to with Nicki and all this kind of stuff. And, he was kind of bad. I want to hear for him bad mouthing Nicki because, she's telling him that she and Nicki are going to an industry party. And he's trying to figure out, well, how's Nicki, invited to an industry party? He's talking about how she's a social jumper and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, bruh, this is a female that you're talking about. Like, I get it's Nicki, baby, but I just didn't respect him talking about her like that. I felt kind of weird with him sitting there just down at Nicki like that. I'm like, okay, you a dude, and you bad mouthing this chick like that. And next we have Donatella. I'm still trying to figure out why Donatella is back. She really didn't bring much to last season other than the fact that she mentioned that Hazel's wig was coming off. So I don't know why Mona decided to give her a spot on this season, but she has. So Donatella has a radio show, and she has Big L and Little L there. And, she's talking about how she wants to talk to Lyrica, not Big L, but Little L, about the whole Safari thing. And then you got Lil L. She's talking about how she felt so bad about the situation. She's made up with Donatella about the whole thing that happened last year with Donatella and her artist that was trying to work with Clutch and Pearls. And Lil Lyrica is talking about it wasn't really the fact that she didn't want Clutch and Pearls to work with that girl. It was the fact that they hadn't finished her album, so she didn't want Clutch and Pearls to work with another artist until her project was completed, which I get that. And then, we move on over to Safari's dick once again. And, Donatella's asking Lyrica about it. And Lyrica's like, the only dick that she's worried about is her husband's, which is pretty nice. And I'm like, okay, Lyrica, if you say so. And then you got Big L over here talking about, she wasn't that impressed by it. I'm like, shut the hell up. Shut your ass up. We don't care. And then, Donatella asked Big L what's going on with her. She's talking about how she's, working on her EP and how she has a new single. And she sings her single. Excuse me. She sings her single that she dedicates to that bitch, K. Michelle. I'm like, here we go again. And then, she's telling them how she popped up at K. Michelle's event and she went off on K. Michelle and all that kind of stuff. And then Lil L is talking about, you shouldn't have done that. That was stupid and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, how you gonna sit there and tell your mama that was stupid when she was seriously sitting here defending your little spoiled ass? So how you gonna sit there and tell her your mama she's stupid for doing that? Like, I was actually here for Big L when she got mad and said, don't call your mama stupid, which don't call your mama stupid. Like, she was defending your trifling ass. Like, I just really thought that was mad disrespectful of Lil L to sit there and tell her mama that was stupid. All right, then we move over to Fizz. AD is going to Fizz's house to get some shoes for Lil Kim for a basketball game that he's having. So, AD comes in and she and Fizz are having a conversation. And while they're having that conversation, you hear a woman's voice and she's coming down the stairs. And lo and behold, it is Tiffany, AD's ex-best friend. And when she comes down the stairs, she say, "Hey, ex-best friend." And, AD is kind of caught off with, seeing Tiffany come down. And then, you got Fizz in his confessional talking about how, him and Tiffany hooked up. And I'm like, nigga, you can say whatever the fuck you got to say. Nobody believes the whole thing that you saying about you and Tiffany. And, AD asked Fizz, is his relationship real with Tiffany? And, Tiffany is like, as real as yours is with Moniece. And then, AD is like, Tiffany tried to come in between her and Moniece last year by trying to, make it seem like AD was cheating on her when she had Zell Swag and Alexa Sky all up on her dancing with them. And how she just didn't respect her relationship and all that stuff, which is 100% true. Tiffany did not respect her relationship at all with Moniece. And, AD is basically questioning Fizz and Tiffany about this relationship because it does seem like it's very convenient. And on Tiffany's end, I believe Tiffany got with Fizz just to get back at Moniece. And, actually, let me put it out there how I really feel about it. I think Tiffany and Fizz both got together to create a storyline to keep themselves on the show, because I remember last season, Fizz was supposedly dating Nia, and that didn't work out too well because they never had a scene together. But now this year he's supposedly dating Tiffany, Moniece's enemy and all that kind of stuff. So I do find that kind of weird that now all of a sudden you dating somebody that Moniece does not like, adamantly does not like. Right, Fizz? It's a whole storyline. Let's be honest, Fizz, this is nothing but a storyline for you and Tiffany. And then you also have Moniece, AD, and Ray looking like a big ass blowfish going out for dinner. And Moniece is basically filling Ray in on the whole situation that happened with at K Michelle's concert, where Ray J came at her, going off on her about the whole thing between her and Princess. And I don't blame Moniece for what she did to Princess or attempted to do to Princess, because Princess put herself in that situation. So I don't 100% feel bad for her. And then AD is sitting over there, and AD is kind of sulking and all that kind of stuff and not eating her food. And they're trying to figure out, well, what's going on with you, AD? So AD, tells Moniece, I went over to Drew's house the other day to get some shoes for Cam, and a woman comes downstairs in lingerie, and this piques Moniece's interest, like, who's the woman? And then she tell her it's Tiffany. And then Moniece, she is typical petty Moniece. She gets her phone and she gets on social media, and while she's on social media, she posts a long excerpt about Tiffany. And we move over to Tiffany and Drew. Tiffany and Drew are out having dinner as well, and just so happened, I mean, and I'm gonna use air quotes, just so happened, while they're filming, Tiffany happens to be on Moniece's page and see that Moniece made a post about her. Supposedly, she's found this out. So, Tiffany is in her feelings about this. And, Drew is over there talking about, I'm going to handle Moniece and all this kind of stuff. Let him deal with it. I'm like, you wouldn't have to deal with this if, one, you told Moniece that you was dating Tiffany, and two, you wouldn't be in this situation if you were not dating Tiffany, period, point blank. Like, you wouldn't have to deal with this shit and how petty Moniece is. You know how Moniece is, so why would you put yourself in that situation? And then you got Fizz. He calls a lunch between Moniece, AD, and Tiffany himself. Basically, he wants Moniece and AD to get over him dating Tiffany. And I'm like, what? You want them to get over that you dating Tiffany, but you the one who kept it a secret from both of them, but you want them to get over it, right, nigga? So, he does apologize to him. And, AD takes the high road. She's like, there is history between she and Tiffany, but if it's real between Tiffany and Drew, she wants the best for them. And I'm like, that's real nice of you, because it wouldn't have been me. I would have been just like Moniece and all that kind of stuff. And Moniece wants to know, is the relationship real, or was it Drew trying to get back at her? And he says it's not me trying to get back at you and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna say bullshit because it might not be Drew trying to get back at Moniece, but on Tiffany's side, it might be Tiffany trying to get back at Moniece. But for Drew, I just believe with Drew, it was him trying to create a storyline to keep him on the show. That's just my personal opinion. You guys, people might disagree with me. And Moniece is basically saying to Tiffany that she wants to kind of let things go if they're gonna be together. And Tiffany's like, I let things go last year, and VH1's production showed last year's reunion where Tiffany had not let the shit go, and she was still, going at Moniece at the reunion, and oh, she also told Moniece that every time Moniece makes a post about her, and I'm like, first of all, why, if Moniece makes a post, why are you on her social media? If Moniece doesn't bother you that much, let it go and move the fuck on. But she said every time Monique makes a post, she want to catch a fade with Moniece. I'm like, okay, girl, if you say so, we believe you. And, Moniece says that Fizz is not welcome in her home. And then, she gets up to leave, and then Tiffany gets in her feelings again. And I'm like, why are you in your feelings? What did Moniece say to you that made you get that heated and all that kind of stuff? And she's trying to go after Moniece. And then, they get into it again. Moniece and Tiffany, that is. And, when Moniece walks into the house, she basically tells Drew that she feels like every time Drew gets with a girl, that he allows the girl to disrespect her, which is basically, I agree with Moniece on that sense, because he let Nikki disrespect her, and now he's letting Tiffany disrespect her, and I can't remember any of the other girls he's been with. Oh, that Amanda girl, she disrespected Moniece. So I mean, I definitely get where Moniece is coming from. She doesn't feel like Drew has her side, whereas Drew feels like he has had her side, and he's lost some friendships, I guess, because of that. And I think what he was trying to hint at was the whole beef between Moniece and that barking Chihuahua Brandy and razor teeth Max Lux. So I think that's what he was trying to hint at, but that was mainly the only time that you really truly 100% stood up for Moniece was with that situation. And I mean that's really the only time that I saw him stand up for Moniece was that situation. And then you got Ray J and Princess. He says, despite the things that are going on between Princess and my family right now, me and Princess are working things out on our own. So we good. And, they sit down. He's trying to put together a toy for the baby. And he had it upside down. And so they sit down. And, he's basically telling Princess about his sit down with Safari. How he Jedi mind tricked that nigga into saying that he fucked Lyrica. And she's like, he said he fucked Lyrica? And he was like, yeah. And, he's like, Safari's my boy. And, A1 is my boy. And, I feel like I need to get them together and sit down with each other and, just put it all out there on front, front and center. And in this instance, I was actually agreeing with Princess. Surprise, surprise. Princess basically told Ray to mind his motherfucking business and keep it to, just because Safari admitted it to him, that needs to be between Safari and Clutch and Pearls, not all three of them. Ray has no business being in that, and I completely agree with her on that one. Let them handle that. That ain't got shit to do with you. And, what am I gonna say? Oh, he also telling her how he sat down. He didn't sit down. He tells about his confrontation with Moniece, and how basically he wants her to sit down and be cool and be a mother and not worry about the shit with Moniece, because one, Moniece is a crazy ass bitch. So he just wants her to take care of herself and the baby, which I agree with that too. Princess should have never put herself in that situation to begin with. Like I said, Moniece is crazy. Why would you put yourself in that kind of situation? And you pregnant at that. Speaking of pregnant, like I was looking on social media and Love and Hip Hop T, they were talking about how Lyrica is talking about how she want to fight K Michelle and she pregnant. Like, are y'all stupid as fuck? Like, y'all are pregnant, y'all want to fight other women? Like, what the fuck? Like, Y'all gonna look stupid if if they hit you with something and you lose your baby or you endanger your baby. Then you're gonna wanna be like, oh, it's child endangerment. Nah, bitch, you putting yourself in harm's way, putting you and your baby in harm's way to get to somebody else. Like, stupid as fuck. And then we move over to Brooke and Marcus. Brooke is fine as fuck, but Brooke is making herself look mad fucking thirsty. Talking about her, her and Marcus are soulmates, and that, once she get these lumps removed out of her breast, that, she's gonna work on trying to get back with Marcus and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, Brooke, why the fuck are you doing this to yourself? It's not that deep and it's not that serious. Like, you making yourself look really bad. So, like I said, she's there to get the lumps removed out of her breast. And she's having a talk with Marcus. And she's basically apologizing to Marcus for the way that she acted at the bar when it was him, her, and Stasia. And I'm like, excuse me, y'all. I didn't feel like she was wrong. I didn't feel like Brooke did anything wrong. So I don't know why Brooke was apologizing, because I really didn't think she did anything wrong at that bar, because she didn't go left, she didn't go right. She just was, cool, calm, and collected. But if she wants to apologize, let her apologize. But I still think she's making herself look thirsty as fuck. And then you got Marcus and Stasia. They are having a romantic dinner, well, a romantic date, because, Marcus has been spending all his time with Brooke. So this is a time for him and her to sit down and have one-on-one time with each other. So once they sit down, she starts to question him about how would he feel that she was pregnant. Now, she says she doesn't know that if she's pregnant or not, because she hasn't actually sat down and take the pregnancy test. And, Marcus is like, completely shocked as shit. So he wants to go talk to Stasia without the camera crew around. Good luck with that. When you film on a reality show, they're not gonna let shit go. So they go over in a corner and talk. Production is still, looking at them, and they still technically are mic'd up. And, he's over there talking about, how that caught him off guard and all this kind of stuff. And, he's talking about, well, I thought you said you didn't want to have kids. Basically trying to just make her feel, I'm like, damn, how you gonna sit here and make this girl feel bad? Like, y'all both knew what y'all was doing. You both sitting here having unprotected sex, so y'all know the risk that you can get pregnant. Like, I don't get how Marcus can be like, he's caught off guard and you sitting here fucking this girl with no condom. But, okay. And she's not on birth control, so you want to completely caught off guard to be, let's be honest. Then we got Marcus. He is meeting up with Brooke. He says Brooke sent him a message saying it was urgent, so he's rushing over there thinking there's something bad happening with Brooke. So he rushes up the stairs, and Brooke is like, no, I'm good. It's a celebration. So she sits down with him, and she tells him, I got the results of the biopsy. It was negative. I don't have cancer, which the doctor pretty much said that, he felt like it was benign and that there was nothing to worry about. He just wanted to do the biopsy as a precautionary method, but leave it to Brooke to make it something more than it wasn't. But again, we're not gonna go there. We're gonna let that one be. And Brooke is again making herself look thirsty as fuck, talking about how Marcus is supposed to be her soon-to-be husband. I'm like, he ain't even proposed to you yet. Like, how's he your soon-to-be husband and he has not proposed to you? And Brooke basically wants Marcus to drop Stasia, just like last year when she wanted him to drop Jade, and she flipped the script on him and dropped him as well after he dropped Jade. And that's where Marcus is. You're like, he's like, I did this last year. I dropped Jade for Brooke. So if I drop, and then until she dropped me, he don't want to go through that again, dropping Stasia, and then Brooke ends up leaving him again. So basically, he wants Brooke to prove to him that she wants to be with him. And I'm like, huh? Like, what? I'm sorry, weren't you the one that was cheating on her last season? Now, mind you, Brooke is not right in all the stuff that she did last season, but I'm still confused as to how Marcus is sitting here playing this game of Brooke has to prove something to him. Like, I'm still confused as fuck about that. And then you got Solo Lucci. He's having a party, and he is basically blowing through this money that his record label gave. And I'm like, nigga, I was saying the same thing that A1 said to him. Like, how much money are you blowing? He said $20,000. I'm like, nigga, you dumb as all of fuck. Like, that's how those record labels get some of y'all people. Like, y'all don't realize those advancements that they are giving y'all at some point they will come back for that money. And if you ain't got that money, you fucked like Chuck. Like look at look at people in the industry who have gone bankrupt. Tony Braxton, MC Hammer, and the list can probably go on because they were not smart with their money. I was actually in agreement with what Clutch and Pearl said to Solo Lucci. Invest that shit. Like, don't sit there and just blow that money. Invest it so that way it makes a return profit for you instead of you just sitting here blowing it on girls dancing and stripping and all that kind of shit. Like, it made no sense to me. And you know, while they talking, Clutch and Pearls gets a text message from Big Lyrica. You talking about, you know, having fun at your porn party and all that kind of stuff. And you know, he was trying to figure out like who the fuck is filming us and all this kind of stuff. And you know, Clutch and Pearls is telling Solo Lucci about his drama that's going on with him right now. How K Michelle told him that Lyrica was fucking Safari, and then when he confronted Lyrica, she blew up at him and all this kind of stuff. And then you know, Solo Lucci even saying, well, you know, that with her blowing up at you, that means you know some truth to it and all that kind of stuff. And you know, he's telling him about how you know his mama and her mama fought with each other. And how his brother is just, you know, telling him he needs to get a divorce and all that kind of stuff, which I didn't agree with that last week. His brother telling him to get a divorce. Like, how the fuck you gonna sit here and tell this man to get a divorce in his marriage? Like, I really didn't agree with that. And then outside, you got Paris meeting up with Miss Plastic Barbie and Tierra Marie. And, you know, Paris is talking about how Tierra's all booed up with Akbar and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, Tierra's like, yeah, you know, I'm working on my music. He got a studio and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, again, what music are you working on, Tierra? And then while they talking, we are introduced to this new girl. Her name is La Brittany. And, you know, she's talking to Tierra. She's from Detroit. And she's telling Tierra how, you know, she looked up to Tierra. And I'm like, you looked up to Tierra? No shade to Tierra, but I want to look up to her. Look at her. Look at where she was at once in her career. And look at where she's at now. That's not somebody that I would look up to. But if you say so. And you know, she's telling them how she just dropped her a record, and then she spots Clutch and Pearls, and she says, you know, she was working with one of his music partners and all that kind of stuff. So La Brittany goes inside to introduce herself to Clutch and Pearls, and you know, she's telling him how she worked with his partner and how she would like to do music with him and all that kind of stuff. And then Akbar walks by those two and walks outside to where Tierra, Princess, and Nikki are. Now, this is where I got sidetracked again with Akbar. I thought when Akbar walked out to Tierra, you know, he was questioning Tierra about the party, how it was supposed to be an industry party and all that kind of stuff. And Princess like, this is an industry party? And, you know, he's talking about, you know, Tierra drinking and all that kind of stuff, asking her, has she drank? She said, no, I hadn't had a drink or nothing like that. And then, you know, he gonna start going in on Nikki. And I'm like, why are you going in on Nikki? Nikki ain't said shit to you or done nothing to you. So I really 100% didn't understand why he was coming to her like that. And, you know, Nikki's like, well, I was the one that was there for Tierra when she was in rehab and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, I really 100%, like I said, was not feeling Akbar coming at Nikki. Like, Nikki said nothing to him, did nothing to him. And I really didn't respect him coming at Tierra the way he came at her. It's like he came at Tierra like he was her daddy and he was trying to check her and put her in place. Like, it was just something weird about that. And Tierra, you know, they walked out and leave, and Tierra told him he was disrespectful to her friends, which the nigga was mad disrespectful to them. Like, all he had to do was come in and be like, oh, you know, I thought you said you were going to an industry party. This is the industry party. And told you, and you could have told him, you know what, I'm just worried about you. Like, it's a lot of alcohol around here. I don't want you to get, you know, caught up in all this kind of stuff. There was a different way that he could have did this, but he went about it the wrong way. And then lastly, we move over to Little Lyrica and Clutch and Pearls. Lyrica is back in their house, and you know, Clutch and Pearls comes home, and you know, he was like, I thought you were staying with your mama. She said, I was staying with my mama. I was sleeping on the couch with a cover watching Lifetime and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, bye Lyrica, we don't give a fuck. And you know, she basically wants some questions about him at the party with Solo Lucci, and he was like, that's funny, because when I was asking you questions about Safari, you don't want to give me any answers. And she started laughing and try to play it off. I'm like, Lyrica, you don't get where he's coming from. Like, you want questions about this party, but he wanted questions about Safari. Like, Lyrica is a spoiled. Like, Hey Michelle was right. She is spoiled and entitled and all that kind of stuff. And then they start going at it with each other, and this threw me for a complete loop. The way they were talking to each other, I'm like, God damn, and y'all supposed to be husband and wife. They started. She was talking about how she was there with him when he was on food stamps, when he was, when people didn't want to work with him, talking about how he wasn't talented and all that kind of stuff. And then he was like, look at you with this fake hair. She said, it's a wig, boo. And, then she started talking about how his dreads are fake. He talked about how her cheeks fake, her ass fake, her tits fake, and everything is fake. And then she talked about how his jewelry is fake. And then he's like, oh, my jewelry's fake? Well, what about that shit you wearing? And then he said, what about that ring you got on? She said, yeah, this fake too. What about the love? Is that real? He said, hell no. And I'm like, God damn, like, y'all are going neck deep at each other. I'm like, shit, like, that's fucked up. And she's talking about how he can't write, he's not a producer and all this kind of stuff. But if he can't write, he's not a producer, why was you so upset about him working with an artist last year and wanted him to finish your album? Like I said, that whole scene with those two was just mad fucking confusing as fuck. And then he talking about how he done and he gonna get a divorce, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, where'd this shit come from? Like, y'all went left field fast. But that was Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. Like the video, leave your comments, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys later.